Next, Dimebag Darrell's 100 proof prescription for pain relief.
I was like, how you feeling, brother? He was just like, not too good, bro. It's just like, just to play the guitar, you have to get a couple cocktails in him.
When Behind the Music continues.
Keep watching.
Uncle Bel's got him. If it's not fourth meal, it's just food.
By 1991, Pantera had positioned themselves at the sharp tip of metal's cutting edge. They returned to the studio late that year to record Vulgar Display of Power with one ambitious objective: to obliterate the boundaries of heavy rock.
We were so possessed, really, and focused on what we wanted to do.
There wasn't anybody out there that could touch us. We kept getting, heavier and heavier and tighter and tighter.
It was exciting to hear that they took it that far, that they took it that direction, and just went deeper and darker.
The album's intensity was matched in the mosh pits of Pantera's increasingly brutal stage shows.
I guess not everybody that goes to a rock show or a heavy metal show is going there to get their nose broken. A lot of people want to watch. And I wouldn't allow it if I didn't get what I was demanding out of an audience. I guess I became furious.
I want to see you lose your mind. I want to see you get some there. Everybody.
If you're a parent, you totally don't want your kids going to a Pantera show, either because they're going to come back with a bloody nose and black eyes, or just because they're going to come back so hopped up, you're not going to want to deal with them.
It's just an unstoppable wrecking ball. It was definitely beyond awesome.
Pantera's power grooves pummeled audiences, but the hard-partying band took their best shots backstage, where booze was chugged like water.
We would joke with people. They would say, how'd you get the opening slot? And we're like, well, you got to sign a contract that says you will drink with Pantera every night, otherwise you're thrown off the tour. People are like, really? I'm like, yeah, really.
How's it going, man? The only band that I've ever known that if you didn't drink, you'd get fired.
They went through unbelievable amounts of liquor backstage. I had to see the bill, so I was always shocked more than anybody else, I think.
It's like a gigantic toga party at all times, you know what I mean? If you're having a crap day and you go backstage at a Pantera show, you're going to have a good time.
And smile, it's Blacktooth Grin.
The band called their favorite cocktail the Blacktooth Grin, a name taken from a lyric to the Megadeth song, Sweating Bullets.
Blacktooth was the drink of choice. The Crown splash of Coke, Seagram 7 splash of Coke.
Good.
And there were thousands flowing before and after and during the shows.
We burned many a brain cell together on the Blacktooth Grin.
Blacktooth Grin.
All of Pantera binged on the bottle, but no one guzzled with more gusto than Dimebag Darrell.
I was like, how you feeling, brother? And he was just like, not too good, bro. It's just like, just to play the guitar, you have to get a couple cocktails in him, but he'd always get out there and whoop ass,
Couldn't even say his name, but just get up on stage and just wail on guitar. The nights that you thought he was going to be absolute shambles on stage were probably some of his most brilliant performances.
Dimebag made sure each killer gig was capped by unique forms of alcohol-soaked amusement.
Don would come up with all kinds of crazy. We'd be in the middle of bump, and he'd come up with some crazy-ass game to play, or, just to break up the monotony. That's the kind of cat he was.
One time we had hung all these, like, Hustler fold-outs and stuff on the wall, and he had bought this thing of green slime. We'd throw them, and if you hit the face or something like that, that wasn't good enough, that's a shot of whiskey. If you hit a or something, or if you hit it smack dab on the crotch region of the young lady in the photo, I think you probably still had to do a shot of whiskey.
We had a little one of those breathalyzers on the road. Dime brought it in from somewhere, and so everybody would, see how drunk you are. Oh, dude, you're not nearly drunk enough, Pour him another shot.
By 1994, heavy metal had been declared all but dead in the wake of the grunge revolution. But Pantera was prepared to strike back with a vengeance, and they entered the studio to record their next album, Far Beyond Driven.
I remember one of the main thoughts going into that record was we have to be heavier than Vulgar. This has to be a heavier record. And I was thinking to myself, how is that possible? How do we do that?
Each record, we wanted to outdo the next record.
And we just said, we're going to make the most balls-out, kick-ass record we can make.
Far Beyond Driven was released on March 22nd, 1994. Without significant radio or MTV play, it debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts.
That was the most abrasive record I could ever imagine, and it went and blew up the charts at #1 and just scared everybody, which was great.
And it was funny because all the magazines you'd read and see would say, overnight sensation, Pantera. We're like, we've been out slaving on the road for 4 hard years and 7 years in the nightclubs before that. It was a pretty exciting time.
For metal, to have a band like Pantera come out and enter the charts at #1, it just showed you that there's no way you can't kill this, because there will always be a band that's going to fly that flag in the face of everything else. And Pantera was the band in the 90s that did that you could actually say saved metal.
But the keepers of heavy metal's incendiary flame were about to get burned by their own lead singer. On the road promoting Far Beyond Driven in 1995, Philip Anselmo began distancing himself from the band.
He would just start freaking out about stuff, and nobody would know why. One night we were playing the sold-out show in Hamburg, and he didn't get the reaction that he wanted out of the crowd, and he just comes back there and says, "F*** y'all, I quit." Obviously he didn't quit, but this is when things started really going sideways,
I can recall Daryl calling me and saying, look, I don't know what's going on with this dude, but... and of course everybody kind of thinks, well, maybe it's the fame thing going to your head.
Anselmo attributes his erratic behavior to chronic back pain caused by years of violent on-stage performances.
It causes isolation. It causes your entire lifestyle to change. And at that point, Pantera was gigantic, and I had a job to do. Through pharmaceuticals or anything to get me up on that damn stage and desperately not feel that pain. I would drink an entire bottle of Wild Turkey before we went on to just be numb, which of course was affecting my performances and putting some worry into the band,
But the band's separation anxiety would only deepen as their singer began treading a dangerous narcotic path. Next, Philip's dance with death.
This nurse leaned over and said to me, "Welcome back to life. You overdosed on heroin."
When Behind the Music continues. For more on Pantera, go to VH1.com, featuring artist bios, music downloads, and more.
Unlock the dusty vault of the... It's incredible to play a show like this in front of all you people.
By 1995, Pantera was the heaviest metal band in the world. Propelled by guitarist Dimebag Darrell's frenzied fretwork, the Texas outfit's bone-rattling brand of musical mayhem shook the senses of millions of delirious fans.
When you buy a Pantera record, you're going to get bludgeoned, you know what I mean?
Pantera is about as metal gets,
We were a machine. That's the way we operated. All the parts fit together, When we played, when we did something like we all hammered it together.
But on stage, the Pantera machine was showing signs of malfunctioning. As the crowds grew larger, singer Philip Anselmo became increasingly unpredictable.
I want to see somebody take some initiative out there.
He wouldn't treat the fans with any respect. Wouldn't treat us with any respect. Just you didn't want to be around him. He was a miserable person, you know.
I could get the ground